First thing I want to talk about is Donald Trump. Because Trump is, of course, still in the news again. I mean, it's not like Donald Trump has never not been in the news. You ever notice that? Ever notice how it's been like 3.5 years since this asshole was no longer president? And he's pretty much in the news every single goddamn day. So what did Donald Trump do this time? Well, he lost a defamation lawsuit against E. Jean Carroll, a woman that he has been accused of sexually assaulting in the 1990s. Now, I don't really need to say accused because he did it. He did it, and it's been proven that he did it. And that's why when he defamed her the first time, he had to pay her $5 million. So what exactly is the story? You would think that after the first time you lose a defamation court case against somebody and you have to pay them $5 million, that you would just sort of shut the fuck up and move on with your life. And that's not what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump did not do that. Donald Trump instead defamed E. Jean Carroll again. And now he just lost his second lawsuit against her and has had to pay her $84 million, which is fucking hilarious. That is the funniest fucking thing ever. I'm glad the motherfucker lost. I'm glad that this woman is getting what she deserves for having to go through this bullshit. Apparently, because this is what's going on, folks, right? This particular case was not about whether he did or did not defame her. That was already proven in the previous case. This is just additional damages. See, the first trial that happened, they proved that Donald Trump, yes, did sexually assault her, although they fell short of calling it rape, which really, that's what he fucking did. If you read the account of what happened, Donald Trump fucking raped her. But we're not allowed to actually say that. We have to say sexually assaulted because that's what the court case found, which is bullshit, but whatever. So he was not able to, this time, defend himself from that because they already found that in her favor. So there wasn't any dispute this time whether he actually did it or not. This one was all about, well, how much more money does he owe her because he keeps fucking defaming her. And that amount has been determined to be $83 million. So I don't know how much you followed this case. I mean, I really honestly didn't follow it this time. I mean, I saw a bunch of videos back and forth about how Donald Trump was a giant baby about it, how he stormed out of the courtroom and went up and to testify on his own behalf, and it was like a giant joke. And he was trying to claim that it was a witch hunt and all this stuff, and that this is really the Biden administration putting up against him and all this other shit, and how his freedom of speech is being taken away. And it's like, well, no, all of that's bullshit. None of that matters. What matters is, did you defame this woman, which you have been proven guilty of doing, and how much money you fucking owe him. So I thought that shit was hilarious, and I wanted to kind of share some of the funnier reactions I've seen on Twitter and elsewhere in regards to this, because, really, honestly, does this really change anything if you really think about it? No, it doesn't really change anything. Donald Trump is still the front runner for the fucking Republican nominee, and he's still ahead in the polls, which is absolutely ridiculous. Maybe this might not, stories like this may knock him down a little bit if people gave a fuck. But we already know that all of his followers, none of them care. None of those people give a shit whether he did it or not. Like we said, he could basically rape a baby on live TV and stomp on its face and then shoot its mother with a fucking AK-47 or whatever while simultaneously fucking stomping on a Bible. Right? And lighting it on fire and shit. He could do that, while urinating on a statue of Jesus, and nobody would care. These people would still vote for him. So it's kind of bullshit. But it's a small victory, and maybe somebody out there who was leaning Trump might see this. Oh gee, how come he had to pay $84 million to this woman? Maybe there's something to this. And maybe some of them may decide, oh, I don't want to vote for this asshole. So I want to share some of the funnier reactions I saw in regards to this. Let's turn on our window here. This is Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself, $83,300,000. Luke Skywalker don't pull no punches. I think I'm going to start posting this meme around too, as well. So that's one. This is somebody named AJ Delgado, whom I actually follow on Twitter. One of the few people I actually follow. I'm not really sure who she is or what she did, but at some point she had an NDA with Donald Trump. I mean, was she in the administration? I don't really know. But let's see what she has to say. I remember July 2017, having just given birth days earlier as a first-time mom, overwhelmed and breastfeeding when Trump's attorney sued me for millions, frivolously claiming I had violated my NDA. The legal system Trump used to torment women, the poor, those without his resources, now torments him. God's justice takes time, but always arrives. Now this, of course, is Donald Trump's reaction that he truth socialed himself after he was found liable and now has to pay this woman that he assaulted and defamed $84 million. I don't think I'll ever get tired of saying that. Absolutely ridiculous. I fully disagree with both verdicts and will be appealing this whole Biden-directed witch hunt focused on me and the Republican Party. Our legal system is out of control and being used as a political weapon. They have taken away all of our First Amendment rights. This is not America. Why am I reading this, right? Why am I reading the reaction that Donald Trump is putting out there, right? I just want to kind of point out how much our political discourse has deteriorated. Take a look at this response. He lies at least 3 times. There's at least 3 lies just in here, right here. Biden directed, right? Biden had nothing to do with this defamation case at all whatsoever. Ian G. Carroll does not work for the United States government. She does not. She never has. She has nothing to do with it. She's not part of Biden's administration, not part of his re-election campaign at all in the slightest. Why did he throw that out there? Why did he say that? It's a lie. And he said it because he's basically spinning this to make himself look like a victim so that he can get more money. That's why he fucking said it. So that's the first thing, right? Second thing, and the Republican Party, what does Donald Trump being sued for defamation and having to pay $84 million have to do with the Republican Party itself? Nothing. Nothing at all. This has nothing to do with him being president. This has nothing to do with him running for president. This has nothing to do with any of those politics whatsoever. This was something that happened in the 1990s that he was found liable for, and then also now that he has to pay more money because he wouldn't shut his fucking mouth. And he kept defaming this woman, thinking that because you know why he did it? You know why he wouldn't shut the fuck up about it? Because he's rich. He's rich, and his entire life he's gotten everything he's ever fucking wanted. He's never been held accountable for fucking anything. He's gotten away with all the bad shit that he's ever done. And he thought that just this time he would get away with it too, because his entire life he's always had more power and more money than anyone he's ever gotten in a fight with or an argument with. He's always been able to outsue them, outmaneuver them legally, stuff like that. And this time it didn't fucking work. And he doesn't understand that if he doesn't shut the fuck up, it's going to happen again. I hope he defames her again, and then I hope she gets $200 million next time. I hope she gets $1 billion next time. Because he fucking deserves it. And even this right here, our legal system is out of control, is being used as a political weapon. Who is using it as a weapon against him? Who in the Democratic establishment directed Jean Carroll to sue Donald Trump for defamation? It's bullshit. See, it's all just shit that he just throws out there. But here's the thing. Is anybody going to talk about the shit that he's saying? Is anybody going to say, hey, this guy's delusional, all this, he's telling lies? No. You know why? Because he does it so fucking often that it's normal now. It's normalized. He does it so often that we take it for granted that it's normal, that people don't bat an eye at all when he lies 17 times in a single fucking tweet. That's how bad our shit has deteriorated because of Donald Trump. There was a time when a tweet like this, a statement like this, meant the end of your political career. Those times, I think, need to fucking come back. And then the last thing, of course, they have taken away all First Amendment rights. No, that's not true. You know why? Because you don't have a First Amendment right to defame people. That is not part of the First Amendment. The First Amendment is freedom of speech from the government. The government is not allowed to police your speech. Defamation is against an individual person. An individual person has to go and sue you for it. The government does not enforce defamation laws. Does that? I don't know. I don't think Donald Trump understands that. Donald Trump doesn't get that. He thinks that you're, freedom of speech, and right wingers in general kind of mistake that. They think freedom of speech means you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want with no consequences. Not true at all. The difference here is that someone proved in the court of law that he lied about her, defamed her reputation, and now he owes her damages. That is a lot different than the government throwing you in jail for some shit that you said. So anyway, yeah, I thought that shit was fucking hilarious. Here's one more. This is Donald Trump's lawyer, who seemingly did a horrible job. I haven't really followed it too much, but I don't know. Apparently, she lost her client $84 million. Being pretty and faking smart just cost her client $84 million. I don't know. I just think that shit's funny. You notice that the scowl that this woman has, if you watch the statements that she makes in outside the courtroom and stuff like that, she's basically playing up the whole victim thing too. She understands the game. This woman, right? This woman is Donald Trump's chief lawyer. What the fuck is her name again? Let me see. Alina Habba. You can see that she's like really like. See this sort of pissy kind of look she's giving to the camera right here? She's playing it up. She's playing up the whole victim, like Trump's a victim and I'm a victim and we're being victimized kind of angle, because they kind of know that going into this case, she must have known that basically Trump was screwed and he was going to have to pay. Right. She must have known that. She's a lawyer. She's not stupid. Okay. If she's a decent lawyer at all, she must have known that Donald Trump was at shit creek. So it really seems like they're kind of forming a narrative so that his base will feel sorry for him and give him money. So to kind of show you that, here's a video of her. This is her coming out of the courtroom, right, after they lost the case. And let's go ahead and play this. This is from C-SPAN. Okay, this is only a few minutes long here. In fact, I want to fast forward to the part where she comes out. Yeah, see, she's like really angry.
No. I'm glad you asked me that question.
So if you didn't hear what the question was, somebody said, "Do you regret representing Donald Trump?" Basically, right? So just want to kind of show you, this is the reaction. Look at her reaction and the way she talks to people and to the reporter. And, just check it out.
No, I'm not having any second thoughts about representing President Trump. It is the proudest thing I could ever do. What I am having second thoughts about is the license that I stand here with that the people in there are supposed to have. I have not spoken because I respect my ethics while I'm on trial. But let me now speak about what has happened. I have sat on trial after trial for months in this state, the state of New York. Attorney General Letitia James, and now this. Weeks. Why? Because President Trump is leading in the polls, and now we see what you get in New York.
Now, something to keep in mind. Now, notice what she's doing, right? She's linking this case. This case is Trump defaming someone that he sexually assaulted, has been proved to have sexually assaulted, right? He's guilty. He did it. Okay. She's linking that to a different case where Donald Trump is being accused of crime. Letitia James basically is in New York. That was the case against the Trump Organization, where basically the Trump organization got the corporate death penalty, right? And he had to basically pay $250 million because the Trump organization basically cheated New York out of tax money. It was all about how they would kind of undervalue their property when it came to paying taxes, and then overvalue it when it came to getting loans. Like they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this building is only worth $5 million." When taxes came, and then when they went to get a loan, they're like, "Yeah, this building's worth $50 million." Shit like that. It's like fraud. Fraud is what it was. And if you remember right, there was in New York, there was the previous attorney general canceled a criminal case against Donald Trump for this. Like I can't remember the guy's name exactly, but he basically put the kibosh on it. And then two of the top prosecutors in New York resigned over it because they basically said, we have Trump dead to rights. Trump will go to prison. And so what happened is that Letitia James was not allowed to prosecute Trump and put him in jail for this. But the second thing she could do was fine him for it and give like the Trump organization the corporate death penalty. So they're not allowed to do business in New York anymore. Stuff like that. So that's what she's talking about there. Notice how she's linking those together like it's part of some kind of conspiracy. Like the whole case with Letitia James and the Trump organization and all that, that has nothing to do with this case. This case is Donald Trump defaming a woman that he sexually assaulted and not shutting his fucking trap after he lost the first time. So now he has to pay her more. That's what this is about. But you notice how she's like, "Oh, I'm seeing this travesty because we're ahead in the polls." What does either of these fucking things have to do with the election? Nothing. Donald Trump and the Trump organization defrauding the state of New York has nothing to do with the election. Donald Trump fucking defaming a woman that he fucking sexually assaulted has nothing to do with the election. Okay, E. Jean Carroll is not running for president at all. She has nothing to do with the Biden administration. It's total fucking bullshit. It has nothing to do with it whatsoever. But now every single one of his dumbass followers is going to see this and say that, oh, they're just doing it because she's winning in the polls. That's the narrative they're crafting out of it. And why are they doing that? So that they can get money. It's the most blatantly ridiculous manipulation ever. It's so fucking obvious. But go on social media of any kind. Go on Reddit. Go on Twitter. Go on Facebook. Take a look at what the Trump base is saying, and they're basically parroting this exact same fucking thing that this lawyer said. And here's the thing, right? I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure, right? I would fucking bet my left nut that Miss Haba here knows what the score is. I would bet you $1 million that fucking Alina Haba here knows this is all bullshit and is playing along with it anyway. Does he really think that this lawyer thinks that this is like all a political witch hunt and all that? No, she doesn't fucking think that. Of course she fucking doesn't. She's playing along because Donald Trump is paying her to play along. And this is her job. Her job is to represent her client and what he wants. And what he wants is to create this narrative that he's a victim. It's total fucking horseshit. It's like the most unethical shit ever. It's so fucking unethical. It's ridiculous. And how can anybody support this asshole after this? Like, then you go on, like, you look at the polls, and he's like fucking 8 points ahead. Like, how? How are people voting for this fucking guy when it's so blatantly obvious? I mean, it's really easy to fall into the stereotype that conservatives are idiots. Let's turn this shit off for now, right? Actually, no, I got a few more things I want to say before we get into that. Before we get into the whole a couple more reactions I want to give. Okay. Couple more I want to show you guys. So that's that. So basically, you get the score here. She's full of shit. Here's some people who are on Trump's side. So this is, what is this guy's name again? Matt Schlapp, who is on Steve Bannon's podcast and wants to tell us all about how this is all a big crime. So let's go ahead and make that a little smaller. And let's listen to what Matt Schlapp wants to say. It's only 49 seconds long, so.
I think I worry that if Donald Trump's not elected president, I really do think the America that we know is done. Why do I say that? It's not like one man should be able to change history, but Donald Trump has all of us in his hands, on his shoulders, all around him. He's standing up for all of us, when he takes these slings and arrows. And if they're able to keep him out of that White House, I know he's going to win, but if they're able somehow to keep him out of that White House, they're going to change this country in a way that you've never seen. This $83 million is just the beginning. All of us will be paraded down this gangplank. We won't have our resources. We won't have our homes. We won't have our livelihood. And I think the people that watch and listen to your show understand that. But today, when I heard that news, I'm like, it's worse than I thought.
Okay, so that's Matt Schlapp, right? Basically saying that Trump is doing this for all of us. So they're creating this narrative that Trump is some kind of like sacrificial hero. Like he's like Jesus or something. So that's the first fucking load of shit there. Remember what Donald Trump is being accused of actually what he did. Not, you can actually say it. You could say he did it. He sexually assaulted this woman. He's not being accused of it anymore. It's been proven. He can't, so yeah, you don't have to say allegedly anymore. He fucking did it. Remember this, right? He basically fucking sexually assaulted this woman in a department store in the mid-90s. And then defamed her afterwards. And that's what he has to pay this money for. It has nothing to do with the government. It's not them. Like, who is he? Like, you see what he just said here, Matt Schlapp? Oh, they will take away your resources. Who the fuck is they? Like, what? What? The Jews? Is that what it is? The Illuminati? Like, the Democratic Party? Like, what the fuck is he talking about? No, they just sort of list this, like, amorphous enemy out there, and the person at home gets to just fill in the blanks. So that's the first thing. Secondly, it's like the way they're crafting it. Trump is like, he's a victim in all this. Oh no, and he's doing it to defend you. Like, what does it have to do with anything about your rights? Because that's what I'm getting from this. What I'm getting from this is that they're saying, Trump is the one taking these slings and arrows in order to fucking protect you and your rights. Your right to what? Your right to fucking, like, defame people? You don't have a right to fucking defame people. Right? That's why he lost. Such bullshit, right? Something to remember here is that Matt Schlapp is not 100% clean on his own end there. This is the guy that back in 2020 was accused of sexually assaulting a male staffer in Herschel Walker's Senate campaign in 2020 in Georgia. If you remember that, remember Herschel Walker? Remember that guy, the fucking, like, really, really ridiculous football player dude who went down in flames when he, like, ran for the Senate in Georgia? That's what this dude here, Schlapp, was on that guy's campaign, and he got accused of basically sexually harassing male staffers. Then it turned out later on that there were two previous other lawsuits that he was involved in, one in 2017 and one earlier in 2020, against additional male staffers in various campaign organizations and such that he got accused of sexually assaulting as well. Kind of looks like Schlapp is having some problems keeping his hands to himself and is maybe in a little bit in denial about certain things that he just doesn't want to admit about himself there. Some advice to you, Matt Schlapp, and anybody out there having similar struggles, I guess, as Matt Schlapp. Some advice: just come out and admit the truth to yourself. You'll be much happier going forward. That is the difference between basically conservatives and liberals and progressives. As a progressive, I am very happy with myself, and I'm not afraid to admit things about myself. If I were gay, I would just say I was gay. I'm just not gay. That's the difference, is that I don't have to hide who I am. I don't have to do any, I'm not like ashamed of impulses that I have. That's the difference. That's the thing we got to remember. Republicans, they're just normal people too. They're just normal people with tons and tons of ridiculous hang-ups due to generations of religious indoctrination that have basically brainwashed them into all being ashamed whenever they get a boner looking at a guy's butt. Like, that's basically what being a modern-day conservative Republican is all about. And, the world would be a much better place if, these people would just admit to themselves that they like hot male ass and they don't like boobies or like vaginas. Like, that's really it. If they would just admit to themselves that they want to like get some like super hot male hard booty, we wouldn't have all these problems with all of them taking away like gay people's rights and trans people's rights and burning books and shit like that. If they would just admit these things and not be afraid, and that's what we can do as liberals, as progressives, as people on the left end of the political agenda. One thing we can do is encourage them to just, be themselves, right? Just be yourself, Match Slap. Come out, right? Stop living a lie, right? We will accept you for who you are, I guess, is what the message that we should give. I thought that shit was funny. Okay, let's go ahead and make this full-sized again, because I got a full thing that I want to show you guys here about this. One reaction I'm getting here, I'm seeing from the Trump people, is that E. Jean Carroll is just too unattractive. And Trump would never actually, that's not his type, blah, blah, blah. In fact, that's the same kind of thing Trump said about other people that he has been accused of raping and sexually assaulting. This is from some dude named Travis. In one of the most disgusting abuses of power I've ever witnessed, a New York jury is demanding Donald Trump pay E. Jean Carroll $83 million for defamation. So first off, it's not that they're demanding that he pays it, it's that he has to pay. The ruling has been made in her favor. There's no demand about it. He doesn't have a choice. Right? Anyway, moving on. How did he defame her? All right, she made claims of assault against him, and he denied it, calling her a whack job. Is that where we're at now? Everyone who is accused and denies it can be sued? The worst part is that the entire trial is only possible because Democrats changed how New York law so she could sue. This cannot stand. This is justice. This is not the American way. I'm assuming he meant to say that this is not justice here. As he wrote, this is justice. I'm guessing that he meant to say this is not justice. E. Jean Carroll and her co-conspirators like George Conway should be held accountable for this political attack on the next president of the United States. How much longer will we allow this to continue? And then, of course, he shows a picture of E. Jean Carroll. Remember, E. Jean Carroll is 80 years old now. Let's just take a look at this tweet, right? I don't even know who the fuck Travis is. He's just a guy. I don't know. He could be a pundit or something. I don't give a fuck. But it's kind of good sometimes to just look at what normal, average, ordinary people say, because then you can kind of like use it as a barometer to measure like the sentiment among normal, non-political people, just normal voters and shit, right? And because I think you'll find that if you go to all the Trump-friendly spaces on the internet, that the prevailing opinions are going to be closely aligned with what this guy is saying. So let's just take a look at this, right? Disgusting abuse of power. So what does he really want? Does he want it so that if someone defames you, you're not allowed to sue them? Is that what he wants? Right? How did he defame her? He denied, she made claims of assault and he denied it, calling her a whack job. The thing is, they proved already that he did it. Okay, they had evidence. All right? The first trial basically proved that he did it. So you don't have to say he allegedly assaulted her or she made claims. You don't have to say shit like that. You don't have to use those legal sort of weasel words anymore. You can fucking say it, right? He sexually assaulted her. That's what the court proved. So no, that question has been answered. He fucking did it. And then, so he denied it. Well, that was in the first trial. The first defamation trial that he lost and he had to pay her $5 million. That was his time, his chance to defend himself, to put up opposing evidence saying, hey, I was never there, or I was actually, he could have done, if he didn't actually do it, he could have like given some sort of like alibi saying like, oh, well, I was actually at this golf club, or I have this witness that said I wasn't there, or I never met her, or whatever. That's not what fucking happened. You know what actually fucking happened, right? They showed him a picture of E. Jean Carroll and like, him at a club, and then like his date, which I think was his wife, and then Donald Trump mistook her for Marla Maples. Like, he saw the picture of E. Jean Carroll and he said, "Oh yeah, that's my wife. That's Marla Maples." And they go, "No, that's not Marla Maples. This is E. Jean Carroll." So it's like, no, don't say this shit that like, oh, he didn't know who she was, or like he didn't do it, or he wasn't attracted to her. When he thinks that he mistakes a picture of her for one of his ex-wives, obviously she's his type. Physically, at least. So, no, that was not... So this whole part right here, he denied it, calling her a whack job. Like, that part's past. That's gone. He doesn't have that. You know, this trial was not to say, oh, did he do it or not? This trial was to say, well, how much money does he owe her? And then, I don't know about this shit, you know, the trial because Democrats changed the New York law. I don't know. I don't care, right? How New York has their laws is up to fucking New York. If you don't like it, move to New York and then vote. Okay. And then here's the other thing. How is it a political attack? So that's the narrative is already out there. You're already seeing people say, oh, this is a political attack. It's a political attack. How? How is it a political attack? What does this have to do with the election? It has nothing to do with the fucking election at all. Nothing to do at all. So there's a few more things I want to show you guys. Now you're starting to see here this sort of response, right? This is from Dom Lucre, breaker of narratives. No idea who the fuck this is, just some dude. Donald Trump did not have sexual relations with this woman. And then it shows a picture of E. Jean Carroll looking very old and tired, right? Keep in mind, E. Jean Carroll is 80 years old, right? Donald Trump himself is what, 78, 77, some shit like that, right? So this is the kind of thing that, you know, this is exactly what Donald Trump said, by the way. Oh, you're not my type, whatever, right? Here's another guy kind of echoing this sentiment. I don't think there's enough beer goggles for any man to do that thing. Calling E. Jean Carroll a thing. Excuse me. Well, let's just take a look at E. Jean Carroll then. Because, you know, yes, she's old now. She's 80 years old now, right? And as you get older, you get less attractive, right? It seems to hit women harder because that's just how our society is set up with fucking gender norms and standards of beauty and shit. But still, let's take a look at what E. Jean Carroll looked like back in the 1990s. So here is... Nope, I am going to continue without supporting. This is some pictures of E. Jean Carroll, some promotional pictures from back in the 1990s. Back when she was younger, 30 years ago, God, going close to 40 years ago now, right? In her late 30s, early 40s. This is E. Jean Carroll here. Not a bad looking person, wouldn't you say? I mean, kind of looks just like one of Donald Trump's ex-wives. Trump definitely has a type. I don't know if you've noticed, like, two of his ex-wives look exactly the fucking same, like Marla Maples and Ivanka, right? Or Ivana Trump or whatever the fuck her name is. Like, they look exactly the fucking same, right? So I think there's another picture here. Is there another picture here? No, there isn't. Okay, well, that's basically E. Jean Carroll in the 90s. This is another picture of E. Jean Carroll. A little bit older here, but not, you know, not a bad-looking person. She's definitely got some beauty going on. This picture is from 2004. E. Jean Carroll is 61 years old in that picture. I mean, for someone who's 61 years old, that is really not bad at all. She looks actually very pretty, I'd say. For someone who's 61? I mean, holy fuck. I mean, look, here's the thing, right? When I saw this picture, I thought maybe she was in her 40s. At the least. You know, there's a little bit, you know, she's got a little bit of gray hair going. And that's pretty much it. I thought maybe 42, 45. No, she's 61 in this photo. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, the thing is that E. Jean Carroll, I don't know if you guys knew this, was like a beauty queen back in the day. This is E. Jean Carroll from 1963. I think she's like 21 or something like that. Getting crowned as Miss Indiana University, 1963. That's E. Jean Carroll right there, right? So E. Jean Carroll is like a fucking ex-beauty queen. Like winner of fucking beauty pageants and shit. And these assholes are calling her like, oh, Donald, you don't need there's no beer goggles on earth that will let you hit that thing. Because you're talking about defamation here. Like, that's what the whole thing is about. The whole thing is about Donald Trump defaming this woman. Take a look at that. Ex-beauty queen to guys saying that, oh, she was super ugly. And, oh, I don't need all the beer goggles on earth, wouldn't be able to fucking hit that. Just remember that. I mean, she deserves that fucking money, right? That if that isn't defamation, then what is? I don't know. I can't believe I kind of went off so much on this. I do have one last thing that I think I want to cram into this. And this is a thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene basically posted. It's a 3-minute little Facebook video. This was posted about 2 weeks ago, I believe. Let me see. When exactly did she post this? It doesn't actually have a date on it. But before we do it, I want to see if I can make the playback speed a little faster. There we go. Let's turn this on one more time. Slightly related, but just wanted to kind of show this to you. This was posted by Marjorie Taylor Greene, our basically resident howler monkey in Congress. Let's see what Marjorie has to say about Donald Trump. But before we do this, I'm going to make this a little smaller.
And on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day, fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay past midnight at a meeting of the heads of state. So God made Trump. I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum, come home hungry, have to wait until the First Lady is done with lunch with friends, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. So God gave us Trump. I need somebody who can shape an axe, but wield a sword, who had the courage to step foot in North Korea, who can make money from the tar of the sand, turn liquid to gold, who understands the difference between tariffs and inflation, will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, but then put in another 72 hours. So God made Trump. God had to have somebody willing to go into the den of vipers, call out the fake news with their tongues as sharp as a serpent's.
Fucking ridiculous.
The poison of vipers is on their lips, and yet stop. So God made Trump. God said, I need somebody who will be strong and courageous, who will not be afraid or terrified of the wolves when they attack, a man who cares for the flock, a shepherd to mankind who won't ever leave nor forsake them. I need the most diligent worker to follow the path and remain strong in faith and know the belief of God and country, somebody who's willing to drill, bring back manufacturing and American jobs, farm the lands, secure our borders, build our military, fight the system all day, and finish a hard week's work by attending church on Sunday. And then his oldest son turns and says, Dad, let's make America great again. Dad, let's build back a country.
Okay, I gotta stop it. And then attend church on Sunday. Okay, first off, Donald Trump didn't do any of that shit. But especially the attending the church on Sunday part, Donald Trump doesn't go to fucking church. Donald Trump doesn't go to church. There was an article I saw so far that in the 4 years that he was president, he went to a church 11 times. And they were comparing it to Biden. And Joe Biden has gone to a church something like 161 times or something like that since he's been president. Donald Trump is not a religious person at all. He's exploiting these fucking morons. It's just so ridiculous. But anyway, there's only a few seconds left. Let's continue.
Be the envy of the world again. So God made Trump.
Okay, enough of that shit. Enough of this shit. Let's turn this shit off. Why did I want to show that to you guys, right? First off, it's fucking hilarious because it's so ridiculous. But secondly, it kind of illustrates why he's able to get away with this kind of, these sorts of shenanigans. You know, any other politician, like from any other period, any other election, let's just take the last 50 years, because that's what I'm familiar with, you know, since Reagan. The kind of shenanigans that Trump has been up to would have tanked them 100 times over. And the thing is, a sexual, like, scandal that he's basically been proved guilty of with, like, E. Jean Carroll would have been enough to destroy any other politician. Going way back, I mean, forever. Even as recently as 2008, I think. Would have just completely knocked him out of the race. People wouldn't have gone for it. And I really think that he's, first off, it's kind of great that he broke that mold, because I personally think, like, sexual scandals are bullshit. Like, who gives a fuck what a politician does with their own dick or whatever, but not when it comes to sexually assaulting people. It's like, if a politician cheats on their wife, I don't care. But if a politician rapes somebody, sexually assaults somebody, then yeah, I care. That should be something that disqualifies you from holding office. And it has been all the way up until now. And somehow I suspect that other politicians, it'll still be a deal breaker. Like, if this was like fucking, Ted Cruz or something, like, accused of this, then yeah, it'd be a deal breaker. But not for Trump. And I just want to kind of show you, like, kind of thinking about that, like, why? Why is he able to get away with this shit nobody else is? And then you see this video where they're basically treating him like he's Jesus. That's what that video was. God made Trump, right? This is, of course, taken from a speech that a guy named Paul Harvey said in 1978 at a convention for the Future Farmers of America, I think is what it was, right? And it was, back then, it was in support of, I think it was in support of God, who the fuck was it? It was in support of Jimmy Carter, I believe, back then. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, if you just take a look at that speech, though, right, that right here with this whole, like, God made Trump thing, like, he's going to make America great, and he's going to put our standing back, and he's going to help inflation, and blah, 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 and all of this bullshit, right? And they're essentially treating him like he's sent by God personally, that, like, he's Jesus Christ. That's what it is. And that's how he's getting away with all this stuff, because people have sort of adopted him. It's like an offshoot, like a new denomination of Christianity, a new offshoot of Christianity, where Trump is being treated like the Son of Man, like he's the second coming almost. And that's how he's able to get away with it. That's how this guy is able to cheat on his wife with porn stars, right? When they just finished giving birth to his like fourth son or whatever, his third son. And then he's like banging porn stars, and then gets his lawyer to fucking like pay for it with an illegal campaign contribution and shit. That's how he's able to get away with it. That's how he's able to get away with just straight up scamming people through his businesses and all of this. This is how he's able to get away with, like, you remember that time Donald Trump, like, it was during the BLM riots, and he wanted to take a picture at this park across the street from the fucking, like, Capitol building or something. And so he got a bunch of, like, cops to come out and, like, tear gas the protesters that were hanging out there, including, like, a pastor at the church. And then it was, like, in front of a church, and then, like, the actual pastor of the church was in the crowd who got tear gassed. And then Donald Trump, like, went out and took a picture, like, and held the fucking Bible upside down. Like, remember that part? It's, like, the most blatantly, ridiculously, like, anti-religious thing ever. It's like, yeah, let's just go, like, tear gas and beat the shit out of the pastor of this church so I can take a picture in front of his own fucking church and not even hold the Bible the right side up. He obviously doesn't give a shit about these people. He obviously doesn't give a shit about the religion at all in the slightest, and he's just straight up, like, manipulating them. But that's how he's able to get away with it. That's how he's able to make this narrative when he sexually assaults a woman, right? And, like, gets found liable for that and has to pay her $83 million. That's how he's able to get away with making himself a victim, because it's religion. It's fucking disturbing. You know what that means, folks? That means nothing he does is going to turn these people against him at all. And anything he asks them to do, they're gonna do it. So if he becomes president again, And if he asks them to do something like, say, look the other way while he prosecutes his political enemies, they'll do it. If he asks them to engage in violence in order to keep him in office, they'll do it. I mean, they did it last time. They came out and they fought for him and they tried to stop the election, stop the certification of the election last time. What makes you think they won't try to do it again in order to keep him as fucking dictator for life? They will. They will because they think they're doing God's will. That's why. Because they think that Jesus, the second coming of Jesus, is asking them to fucking do it. That's why it's so goddamn dangerous. And no, I'm not being hyperbolic either. I'm not being hyperbolic. This is the truth. The 39% of Americans, it's like 39%, 33%, something like that, like right around there, of all the people in the country. Right? That's the Republican hardcore base, the Trump base. The people that he could, like, you know, stomp on a fucking baby in the middle of the street on live TV and wipe his ass with the Bible and they would still fucking do what he says. Those are the people that will answer his call to violence. For the love of God, get out there and vote. Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.